This screencast discusses the course information and syllabus for General Anatomy and Physiology. If you have not already done so, please print out a copy of your course information and syllabus and follow along as I discuss the information found on the course information and syllabus. After finishing the presentation, if you have not already done so, I encourage you to read the course information and syllabus from beginning to end. Write down any questions you may have so that I may address them on the first day of class. So with that, let's get started. This screencast discusses the following topics. I will provide you with my contact information. I will provide you with the locations and times of the lectures and lab components of the course. I will discuss the prerequisites for the course. I will provide you with information about your textbook and lab manual. We will talk about how you will be graded or evaluated. I will provide you with my policy on missed work. I will explain the lab and lecture schedule. I will discuss course withdrawal. I will list the responsibilities and policies that are listed on your syllabus. And we'll end by listing the course resources that are available to help you be successful in this course. The information contained on your course information and syllabus is very important. It is basically your owner's manual and handbook for the class. It is an agreement between me, your instructor, and you, the student. So make sure that you become familiar with its content and that you refer to it often. If you were to lose your hard copy of the course information and syllabus, there is an electronic copy available on Blackboard. Let's talk a moment about the best way to contact me. My office is on the second floor in the B section of the building, B2200. However, I am rarely in that office. If I'm not in class or the lab, I do a lot of work from home. However, I am accessible. If you want to contact me urgently, the best way to accomplish this is by calling my office line. Leave a voicemail message. Make sure you include your name and also clearly state the phone number at which you can be reached. That voicemail goes directly to my email, and I can access that voicemail from anywhere as long as I have access to the internet, which is pretty much all the time. If your needs are less urgent, please send me an email. I will respond to emails within 24 business hours. That means if you leave a voicemail at 5 o'clock on Thursday, I will respond by 5 o'clock on Friday. However, if you leave a voicemail at 5 o'clock on Friday, I may not respond until 5 o'clock on the following Monday. That's what's meant by 24 business hours. I am available to meet with students during my office hours, which are held in the Learning Lab, which is in room C3438. That is in the C section of the building on the third floor. My office hours are 9:30 to 11:20 and 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. on Mondays, and also 9:30 to 11:20 a.m. on Wednesday. Now, office hours means I'm there and I will work with students on a first come, first served basis. You don't have to make an appointment. You walk in and I'm there to help you. However, students that have made appointments during my office hours will have priority. So if you need to meet with me and you know you need to meet with me, the best thing to do is to make an appointment. However, you do not have to make an appointment to see me during office hours. I also want to state that if these times do not work with your schedule, these are not the only times we can meet. We can meet at other times in the Learning Lab, in my office, or other locations. So these aren't the only times that I can meet with students. These are the times that are set aside for office hours, meaning you can walk in and get assistance without an appointment. Bottom line is, I am here for you. Please use me. I do very little research. Most of my time and effort is to help students be successful in this course. So if you need to meet with me, I'm there for you. Please make arrangements to do so. Let's take a moment to talk about when and where the class meets. Our first day of class will be Wednesday, January 18th. The course runs for 15 weeks, not including spring break. And then in week 16, you will have your final exam. That's final exam week. Lecture will be held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11:30 to 12:20 in room C2406. That's the C section of the second floor of the main Truax building. You are in one of 3 labs. If you are in section 11, class number 63516, you will go to lab from 8:30 to 10:20 Wednesday mornings. If you are in section 4, class number 62197, you will go to lab Friday mornings from 9:30 to 11:20. If you are in section 3, class number 62536, you will go to lab on Fridays from 12:30 to 2:20. All labs are held in room E3885. That is the E section of the 3rd floor of the main Truax building. The prerequisites for the course are listed on page 2. If you do not meet these prerequisites, I strongly suggest that you withdraw from the course. Students who do not meet these prerequisites do not tend to perform very well in this course. Your textbook is Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology by Elaine Marab. The current edition is the 11th edition shown here on the right. However, there is very little difference between the current edition and the previous editions. The current edition is only available new, so to save money, if you want to purchase the earlier editions used, that's just fine. Very little difference in terms of content between the 3 editions. The lab manual is a customized lab manual, therefore it is likely only available in the Madison College bookstore, and you may or may not be able to find it used. So you have fewer options with respect to the lab manual than you do with the textbook. Grading information is found on pages 2 and 3. The lecture component of the course accounts for 60% of your overall grade, or 600 points. You will be given a series of quizzes. The quizzes will be online through Blackboard. The pool of quiz questions will be taken from the Open Access website, and you can read more about the Open Access website on page 8 of your course information and syllabus under course resources. I will also provide a screencast that describes how to access the Open Access website where these questions are found. At the end of the semester, I will drop your lowest 2 quizzes, average the remaining quizzes, which will be worth up to 100 points. You will be given 3 exams in class. Each is worth 100 points. I will drop the lowest of the 3 in-class exams. You will also have 1 take-home exam. It will be worth 100 points. And at the end of the semester, you will be given a final exam. Half of the final exam will cover new information. Half will be comprehensive, covering the information from all the previous exams. The final exam will be worth 200 points or 20% of your overall grade. The remaining 40% of your grade comes from lab. You will have 3 lab practicals, each worth 120 points, and various pre-labs that you'll have to complete throughout the semester, and they total 40 points for 400 total points. You'll also have weekly quizzes, but the weekly quizzes are extra credit. You can obtain a maximum of 20 extra credit points from successful completion of the quizzes. So in summary, the lecture portion of the course is responsible for 60% of your grade. You will have 3 exams. I will drop the lowest exam, so 200 points will come from your 3 in-class exams. You will have various quizzes throughout the semester in lecture. I will drop your lowest 2 quizzes, average the remaining quizzes, and you can get a maximum of 100 points from those quizzes. You will also have a take-home exam worth 100 points, and then a final exam which will be worth 200 points or 20%. So for a total of 600 points or 60% of your final grade. The lab portion represents the other 40% of your grade. You will have 3 practicals. Each are worth 120 points. And the pre-labs will be worth 40 points for a total of 400 points or 40% of your grade. Add the 600 points to 400 points from the lab, and you have 1,000 points. You'll find the grading scale on pages 3 and 4. It is self-explanatory, so I will not go into greater depth. Your grades will be posted in the grade center of Blackboard, and they'll be updated regularly. So you take an exam, I grade the exam, I post the score, and I update your overall grade. So you should know at any given time in the course how you are performing. I am always amazed by the number of students that have no real idea how they're performing in a course. You should know at any given point in my course or any other course where you stand. How do you know if you need help or how much additional time you need to spend in a course if you don't know how well you are performing? You should know at all times how you're performing in a course. Let's talk a little bit about missed work. First, let's start with lecture. Makeup quizzes are not allowed. If you recall, quizzes are going to be accessed through Blackboard. They're going to be online. You're going to have at least 48 hours to take a quiz. So you have ample time to access Blackboard and take your online quizzes. If you miss a quiz, you will not be allowed to make that quiz up. Remember that I do drop your lowest 2 quiz grades, so if you get sick or you space the quiz and you don't take it, although you will get a 0, it will be dropped. However, you don't want to do that more than once or twice because I only drop the 2 lowest quiz grades. With respect to exams, I do not allow makeup exams. If you do not show up for an exam, you will get a 0 for that exam. However, if you tell me ahead of time that you have a schedule conflict, you're going to be out of town, or you have something scheduled on the same day as an exam, I am very willing to make arrangements for you to take that exam at another day and time, typically prior to the day and time of the scheduled exam. So while I'm not very keen on makeup exams after the fact, I am very open to arranging alternate days and times for taking an exam if you have a scheduled conflict. Again, although I do not allow makeup exams, I do drop your lowest exam grade. I do know that things come up. I've had students have car trouble. I've had students get sick, and they either are too sick to sit for the exam or really aren't able to study because of their illness. Although they get a 0 if they don't show up for the exam, or they don't do well on the exam because they were sick, remember I drop your lowest exam grade without question for those precise reasons. Later in the semester, you will be assigned a take-home exam. That take-home exam will be open book, open note. I will encourage you to sit and discuss the take-home exam with other students. It should be a good grade. However, if it's late, there is a significant penalty. 20 to 25% will automatically be deducted if it's late. 30% will be deducted if it's more than a week late. So key to performing well on the take-home exam is ensuring that it is turned in on time. Let's talk about Miss Lab quizzes and practicals. There will be no makeup for lab quizzes. Lab quizzes are extra credit. They're given at the beginning of lab. If you're there for the quiz, then great. If you're not, you get a 0. Again, they are extra credit, so I do not feel the need to allow makeups. Practicals. If you have a schedule conflict coming up with a practical, arrange with me ahead of time an alternate day and time that you can take the practicals. If you become ill or something unforeseen occurs and you can't make a practical, contact me as soon as possible so that we can arrange for you to make up the practical. There will be a 10% reduction in score on any makeup practical.
A tentative class schedule is shown on pages 7 through 9. So I show you the dates of all the lectures and all the topics. I show you the dates of all the exams. I show you the chapters that will be covered on each exam. Now, this is a tentative class schedule because some things are set in stone, other things can vary. And let me explain what I mean. The order in which we cover the chapters in your book per this schedule is set in stone. The chapters that are covered on each exam are set in stone. What's not set in stone and can vary are the exact dates that we complete one chapter and move to the next, or the exact date that we have an exam. If we get a little behind, and I don't feel that you're ready for the exam on the date in which it appears on the tentative schedule, I'll push it back. Often the exams are pushed back because it typically takes me a little longer to cover the material than I have actually placed in the schedule. So that is what is tentative. That's why I call it a tentative class schedule, because that can vary. The exact date that we finish one topic, go to the next. The exact date that we have an exam can vary. But the order in which we cover these chapters, and the chapters that are covered on each exam, that will not change.
Your tentative class schedule also shows you which lab topics we will be covering each week and the exercises from your lab manual that we will be covering. I provide that in italics. I also show you the dates of all of the practical exams. Again, a practical is simply a lab exam. For example, if you go to week 6, you will see that that is your first lab practical. And your lab practical will cover all of the previous labs. For example, lab practical 1 will cover the axial skeleton from week 5, overview of the skeleton and appendicular skeleton from week 4, classification of tissues from week 3, the cell anatomy and division from week 2, and language of anatomy and organ systems overview from week 1. The last day you may withdraw from the course is May 3rd. After this date, a withdrawal is not possible and you will receive a grade for the course. Therefore, it's very important that you evaluate your standing in the course prior to the deadline. I encourage any student considering withdrawing from the course to meet with an academic advisor prior to finalizing their decision, especially if you receive financial aid. If you have difficulty with the course, please contact me as soon as possible. I do want to emphasize, as your instructor, that I do not have the power to withdraw you from the course. You must do this yourself, and you must do it by the deadline of May 3rd. Various policies and responsibilities are discussed on pages 3 through 6 of your course information and syllabus. I encourage you to take time to read through each of these responsibilities and policies and to write down any questions you may have so that I may address them on the first day of class. You will find a list of course resources toward the end of the course information and syllabus. They are self-explanatory, and I'm not going to elaborate on them here, with the exception of the Anatomy and Physiology Place Open Access website. I do want to spend a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about that site. The Anatomy and Physiology Place Open Access website is a resource that is provided by the publisher of your book. You do not need an access code or a password to access it, so regardless of whether you got a used book or a new book, you will be able to take advantage of this resource. I've provided the URL here on the slide and also in your course information and syllabus. It's not the nicest and certainly not the shortest URL in the world. I've also have various links to this website from Blackboard. I want to encourage you to take advantage of this resource. There are practice quizzes, review exercises, and various learning activities to help you practice and learn the content of your textbook and this course. Now let's review the topics of the screencast. I provided you with my contact information. We discussed when and where the lectures and labs take place. We discussed the prerequisites for the course. I provided you with textbook information, both for the textbook and the lab manual. We discussed how you would be evaluated or graded. We discussed missed work. I talked about the lab and lecture schedule. I mentioned course withdrawal and the deadline for withdrawing from the course. I listed the responsibilities and policies and had strongly advised that you read these responsibilities and policies in your syllabus and ask me any questions that you may have on the first day of class. And lastly, I listed course resources that are available to help you be successful in the course.